Wild card. It's called wild for a reason. Wild card round of playoffs. 5 down, 1 more to go. Some upsets, some phenomenal finishes. Let's get into all of it on today's NFL Six Pack.
This is Locked On's NFL Six Pack. 6 bold takes from 2 guys who just flat out know football. NFL experts Matt Williamson and Brian Peacock bring pure NFL talk. Great takes, no fluff. Just honest football talk. Crack one open. It's NFL Six Pack on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the NFL Six Pack. Brian Peacock and Matt Williamson at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. And thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Check out the Everydayer Club. More on that a little bit later. Some phenomenal games on the schedule. Defending champs are out. We had division rivalries. We're going to see teams play for the 3rd time this season, multiple times in this postseason. So a lot of fun to be had. Almost all the games were phenomenal and went down to the wire and were 1-score games and were very close, aside from the very last one Sunday. But let's start Saturday, Matt, and just go chronological with this one because tons of takeaways and tons of really good football games. And let's go to Carolina, where the Panthers nearly did it with as 10.5-point underdogs at home. And they had the Rams on the ropes late, but Matthew Stafford and the Rams found a way. They did beat the Panthers 34-31, and now the Rams get to host the they get to go to Chicago and play the Bears. More on that Bears game. But the Rams winners 34-31 over the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, Saturday had a great slate of games. You also mentioned it, mostly that both Super Bowl teams from last year aren't in it anymore. So we're definitely gonna have a new champ. That's pretty cool, and some new representatives. So that's pretty cool. I forget what podcast I was listening to, but I love this analogy that Roger Goodell was like pitching a perfect game going into the 9th. And then in the second half of the last game, got let up like a home run and a walk or something. Still got the win, but but it was a great.
Got the win, didn't throw the no-hitter.
Right.
Yeah, the 4 points was the most between the spread of the 4 games early in on Sunday until that night game, and they were all leads changed in the 4th quarter. It's just really phenomenal stuff.
So I think it's pretty clear that Bryce Young's going to be the guy going forward, and I have mixed feelings about that, but we'll talk about offseason things overall, and I'm not implying they should change. But this team plays hard, and they don't go away, and they don't look at it like we're the underdog or the big bad Rams are coming into our town. I hope we can just hang around. I mean, I think there's something to be said for that. I thought Young outplayed Stafford, and I kind of regret over the last like a month or so ago, I said, boy, I think the Rams are the best team in the league. And then they lose to Seattle. I'm like, they're still right at the top. They could win it all. And now it's been kind of like a month where they've only been okay. They don't look like the team that I thought they were,
No, I think on both sides of the ball, they're not playing quite at the level we saw earlier on in the season. This happens a lot. There's not a lot of games as far as versus other sports, but the NFL season's still a marathon season, and even games are marathons at times where you think that a team is just getting beat up early. And it's like, wow, this game's going to be over. And in the second half, something changes and it's completely different. And the team scores 25 points in the 4th quarter. Chicago Bears, Packers, right? Right. And these teams are all a lot closer than it seems. And, that's why I took the points on this one. It's like, come on, playoff game at home. It's got to account for something. We saw that in both games Saturday, and I think and I don't think any team is so good that they can't be beat. I do think in the NFC side, and it probably helps that we didn't see them play this weekend. But the last time we saw them was a awesome performance of the Seahawks. It really feels like the Seahawks clearly are the 1 seed as they earned in the NFC, and the Rams are beatable, and the Panthers nearly did it. And I think you're right about there's just not a good path to change anything for the Panthers. They've just got to stay on this path. And try to get better and maybe be above 500 next year and build around what they've got. And then if maybe that doesn't work, then you start changing things the next offseason. But there's no other path that the Panthers can be on other than let's keep this plan forward and make it better than it was this year and maybe win a playoff game.
Yeah, and Coker and McMillan and even Leggett to some degree. I mean, those are the running backs and the O-line overall. I mean, that's not a bad nest, draft defense. And speaking of O-line, I do think the Rams O-line injuries are starting to catch up to them a little bit too. And I hope Stafford's not hitting a wall at his age, and we don't talk about it, but remember he had a bad neck, and we didn't know if he was to start the season and all that stuff too.
He had like shoulder, arm stuff. Yeah. He's his latest injury. Sean McVay did say he's going to be fine and play. With was a finger? Is that what he came?
Oh, he smashed his. Yeah.
So he's fine. I don't remember what the exact diagnosis was with the finger, sprained finger or something like that. But anyway, he's going to be fine. He's going to play. So, but which
quarterbacks hitting helmets this weekend?
This is going back a long time. Like Matthew Stafford's got a body that's probably older. You know, he's not the youngest quarterback in the league anymore, right? And he's probably got a body that plays older than that, because even earlier on in his career, remember how many injuries he played through? But he's always played through them. That was always his thing. He's like tough guy. Bad teams, playing through injury, getting hit.
He's 38, but he's really 48 in Stafford years. Yeah, right. Yeah.
My wife recently got this scale where it somehow is able to not only give you weight, but it tells you information about how much water is in your body. Are you hydrated? It gives you like muscle density and bone density. It's all this crazy stuff, and it gives you a metabolic age. You know, and you're like, okay, I don't want it to say that. In my 40s, it's like 60. It's like, I don't want to say that. And so luckily it was a few years younger than I actually was. I was like, okay, thank goodness. But I still have some work to do. But for Matthew Stafford, he gets on that and he's like, yeah, your bones and muscles are destroyed, man. You've got the skeletal system of a 60-year-old now. The muscular system's good still, though.
You know who shouldn't step on that scale now is Justin Herbert. He's probably at like 38 already.
That poor guy. We'll get into that game next, in the offensive line that unfortunately was not going to be there. I want to jump ahead because there's so many in all of these games, but let's move on.
He's aging fast, though. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
I mean, you got to protect your young quarterback. He has been through a lot early in his career. He's on a very Staffordish path, to be honest, except for his team was able to figure out and start getting good before Stafford's team was. He had to go somewhere else to get into playoff games. Really awesome one here. Let's hit the sounder. We got 5 games, and then we're going to make our pick in our 6-pack today, because we still haven't previewed that Texans Steelers game on Monday night, which I'm excited for. But what a game it was for the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, and the Chicago players and coaches all making a point to thank the fans and say that was a huge factor in that game, that they were at home, and how great the fans were against the Packers. 31-27, 25 fourth quarter points for Caleb Williams, who was ice in that game, as the Bears beat the Packers 31-27. 5th straight loss for the Packers, by the way, who really, 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 really felt the loss of Micah Parsons this year. And if you're wondering how important Micah Parsons is, I think we saw the entire gamut from his former team, his new team, with him, without him. He's a difference-making player, and they just could never really overcome it. And Jordan Love was dealing in this game too.
I'll say they also got a great performance out of their quarterback too, and Golden showed up big, and Dobbs, and I mean, it's such a variety of receivers. Even with, I mean, you don't have Parsons, you don't have Kraft. Are those your 2 best players that aren't your quarterback? You know, I mean, they were depleted, to say the least.
If you're the Packers in the offseason, you're drafting players to bring back. It's Parsons, Love, and Kraft.
They're the top 3 guys, right? For sure.
Yeah. But how about the rookies in this game? Golden, because Golden's kind of just been an afterthought for them as a first-round rookie, but you saw the talent out there. That run after the catch, and he can break off routes, and so that's an interesting one with Watson and how awesome Watson played after injury as well for those Packers, and all the rookie pass catchers in this game. Luther Burden, and then Colston Loveland goes crazy for 8 catches and 137 yards. He was really just over and over and over again. What did he have? 15 targets, I think, in that game.
They just fed him.
In the playoffs, in 15 targets, 8 catches for 137 for Colston Loveland. A lot of young talent on both of those teams to develop going forward. So that's very exciting stuff. And I got to give credit to Colston Loveland for being a better blocker than I thought he was coming out.
Oh, yeah. Me too. I really think him, Bowers, and McBride will be Kettle and Kelsey for the next 10 years type of thing. You know, like they look that good to me, you know.
And I think they made the right call. Like Tyler Warren started off hotter too.
I'd rather have Loveland.
His rookie season. I absolutely. I think that's the only take after this.
Yeah. So obviously Bears started super slow. Packers had them where they wanted. Second half couldn't have went any different. And this has been a Bears trend. I don't think anyone has more come from behind victories than the Bears, but usually it's turnover driven. They're the best team in the league at creating turnovers, and they weren't getting that. Love wasn't giving them the ball. The big talks are, is this just an amazing Bears comeback led by Caleb Williams, who's turning into the superstar before our eyes and made an unbelievable throw and several unbelievable plays overall? Or the Packers chokers, or we're going to fire LaFleur, it's funny. There's just two ways of looking at all these things,
Well, it's like the arsonist that puts out his own fire too with Caleb Williams. His QBR was only 36.9 in this game. Jordan Love's was 3.4. There's the 2 interceptions, and but then he comes back.
He misses throws too.
He misses too many throws. It's something he's gonna have to raise the floor. Caleb Williams in the offseason. It's gonna be really important for them. But
he used to take stacks like it was his job last year. Now he doesn't. He has improved a lot.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And you feel really good about where he's at and where he continues to be. And you love there's no quit in the Bears. They've come back so many times this year. And I think that's a big factor here. We've seen it with the Bears. We saw it with the 49ers, I think, as well in the Sunday when we get to the Sunday games. But it's kind of I think it was a call to manhood during the week too for the Chicago Bears. Like, their defense was not playing well. And they held Josh Jacobs to 2.9 yards per carry. The Packers could not run the ball. And that was the one thing that you thought, well, this is where the Packers are going to win the game, because the Bears aren't good enough against the run. And they were up to the challenge on that defensive front. So you got to give them credit.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Who knows what happens going forward, but there probably isn't a fan base that should be more excited than Chicago's, top to bottom, from where you were and all that kind of stuff.
They're just going to get better without even trying next year.
Without even trying, right?
Yeah.
Draft a couple defensive players no matter what, and
super exciting to be a Chicago Bears fan right now, and they get to host a game in round 2 of the playoffs next week. Let's talk 49ers and their improbable run, winning a playoff game on the road at the Philadelphia Eagles. Bills overcoming the Jaguars. What a game that was. 1-score game with 4 touchdowns combined in the fourth quarter, and the Patriots handle the Chargers. Let's talk Monday Night Football as well next. Today's episode of NFL Six Pack is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into new player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge. But with Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. High pressure football matchups every weekend with the playoffs here. And of course, elite hoops almost every single night. The action never slows down, and Prize Picks lets you stay in control and stay in the game. Prize Picks is the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting. Just pick more or less, and you are on your way. And all you have to do, if you've never played Prize Picks, is you pick more or less on those Prize Picks projections on the app. It's quick and simple. App is easy to navigate, and watching games makes it more engaging. You've got a lot of flexibility. Make the lineups the way you want. Make tons of different lineups with different players and different strategies. And download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. This episode is also brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Well, now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets change the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. You always knew the game, right? You know the game, but never had a dynamic way to maybe apply some of that knowledge. Well, now you can take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Okay, more phenomenal games on the Sunday schedule. Matt, let's go to the early game here, which was the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Josh Allen and the Bills were able to do it in the fourth quarter and knock off the Jaguars on the road 27-20. 24. Great season for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they're one and done. And a lot of these teams probably are hurting right now on this Monday. We'll talk about a team next that might even need to make some changes because of the egg they laid. But I think if you're the Jaguars, you're staying the course. Good season, but you ran into Josh Allen in round one.
Yeah, and Allen played extremely, extremely well. And it's just so you take it such for granted. And they controlled the football. They didn't have a ton of negative plays. I thought that was important. But their run defense still worried me. The Jags ran the ball really, really well. I thought Lawrence hung around in a high-end game against a top quarterback, even though he had 2 or 3 or 4 moments that kind of went, But overall, I think he passed the test. But maybe I'm being a little kind.
Yeah, early intercept, like you're at home, you're supposed to lean on a team that can't stop the run, and you throw a pick on the first drive. That was not a good start.
That was not a good start. And so, I mean, there was a little bit of that. I wanted to mention Parker Washington, though. I mean, this guy's come from nowhere. Between, like, Parker Washington and Strange, and we know the Myers trade jump-started them, and they still have Hunter on the back burner, and Brian Thomas is on this team. Yeah. And, like, man.
Their most important pieces are Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers. And these guys that they drafted high in the first round, that it's like, do you even need those guys?
Right. They should trade Thomas to the Bills. They said, go home with him. Right.
Seriously. That's if I was to project offseason moves, Brian Thomas to the Bills is the perfect combination.
Yeah. My dynasty teams are all worried that Hunter's just going to be a full-time corner if they don't, because they got too many receivers.
Yeah. Do you Keon Coleman plus what gets you Brian Thomas? They both
need a first. Maybe a 2.
A 2?
2 and a future 3 or something like that. Because it's going to be a late 2.
Yeah. Coleman in a 2 for Brian Thomas. Get it done.
Get it done. I'm on board for that. Yeah. But the Bills were impressive. I mean, they found a way to win. I was real worried about their run defense. I was real worried about their lack of weapons, why we're having this Thomas conversation. It might haunt them, but Allen's hard to play against, man. And their defense wasn't so terrible, to be honest with you. They made some plays.
How about the game plan for the Buffalo Bills? We talked about, okay, what's going to be who's going to be the pass catcher? What's going to be the game plan for them on the offensive side of the ball besides trying to get James Cook going? And the Jaguars are a tough team to run against, and they did a really good job bottling up James Cook. The answer was Khalil Shakir. We talked about Colston Loveland getting spanned with targets. How about Khalil Shakir getting targeted 12 times, and they completed all 12 of those, but it was only for 82 yards. It was just like, let's get our best yak guy the ball as close to the line of scrimmage as we can. And they spread the ball out otherwise. But you look at that, the offensive numbers for the Buffalo Bills, things were difficult to come by, and they needed those turnovers on defense to keep getting the ball back to the offense. So those Lawrence interceptions were huge in this game.
They were. I'm glad you brought up the Shakir and the passing game situation, because you just look at the box score. It's like, and you felt it. I mean, the Bills controlled the clock. They won time possession pretty handily, but they didn't run the ball as well as they usually do. And it was a short, controlled passing game to what is their best receiver, Shakir. He's reliable and get out of the hands quick and move the chains. Keep the ball, stay on the field.
Yeah, and this is what's so hard against. He's like, why is Josh Allen so great? Okay, he's big, cannon arm. This is why, because 11 carries and 2 touchdowns. It's just that extra thing that it's just so hard to defend. And in the end, you put the ball in the end zone more times.
Yep, and he takes the layups now too. Not everything is swing for the fences,
Well, he has to. He doesn't have many non-layups that he doesn't have any 3-point opportunities.
No, they're covering 3-point land pretty tight.
49ers knocking off the Philadelphia Eagles Sunday afternoon, 23-19. One of the better plays and play calls of the year was the reverse flea flicker pass. Juwan Jennings, former high school quarterback recruit, throwing the best ball of the game. That's counting both quarterbacks in the wind. Like, that was a ridiculous throw down the field to Christian McCaffrey. The 49ers 23-19 victorious on the road as underdogs against the Philadelphia Eagles. And I came away from this game thinking, Vic Fangio against Kyle Shanahan was really good. That kind of went as expected. Yeah. Really nice play call there with the trick play for Kyle Shanahan. They were able to pull it off. The big difference for me was there's way too much talent on offense for the Philadelphia Eagles for Robert Saleh's banged up defense to come in there and do that. And I think you saw a guy who's going to get already has head coach interview requests in Robert Saleh against a guy who's probably, I'm surprised he's actually not fired yet as we're recording this, in Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with the Eagles. They're too good to play this mediocre.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Start with when the Niners had the ball, though. Such a vintage McCaffrey game, too. I mean, what they use him as a receiver, and we didn't even mention losing Kittle early and maybe for a long stretch now. I mean, that's an Achilles. That's terrible. But
yeah, that's going to be over half the season without him. And if it's the 12-month variety, he misses all the season next year. So
that's what I was thinking, right? But Shanahan schemed up some great stuff, just without a lot at his disposal on offense against a really good defense. And I thought the Eagles' D was fine. They were not the problem here at all. But to me, that is the biggest takeaway. It's not take anything away from your Niners, but one side of the ball has tons of talent and one has none, and they can't move the ball at all in their building, and this has been going on for weeks and weeks and weeks. What's going on here,
Yeah, and Barkley had room to run. It was one of those, here you go. You can't stop the run. Barkley's too good. Their offensive line's too good.
I can live with that.
And the 49ers found a way.
Yeah.
Stop it. And just they're arguing in the playoff game. You're arguing. A.J. Brown doesn't even talk to anybody, leaves. He's not coming back.
Is he gonna be an Eagle next year?
You got to think about leadership. Do you not only OC? Do you think about Sirianni? Like, you just won a Super Bowl. You probably can't fire him, but there's some disconnect there. Everything's wrong right now with the Philadelphia Eagles, and too talented to play the way they are. And for the 49ers, they're doing the opposite, despite missing stars playing above their weight.
I wonder if that front office. I mean, the Eagles, no one's crying for them. They've been unbelievably successful. But the front office does a better job than anybody. And it's like, hey, I'm giving you guys the players. You got to do more with this. I know they just won the Super Bowl. But
it is tough because you keep getting your coaches poached. And they went through this on defense. They got Vic Fangio. They need to go find their offensive version of Vic Fangio. But then if that's the case, then how important is Nick Sirianni in all of this?
Yeah, why do I need you then?
Right. And we were talking about drafting players from teams. We were talking about the Packers. If you're drafting, just human beings in the Eagles organization, you're for sure taking Howie Roseman before you take Nick Sirianni, right? Like they're roster driven. I wonder if they might think head coach. There's no chance they don't change offensive coordinator, in my opinion.
I think there's no chance.
Other problems too.
I was just thinking about that, though, as you mentioned it. It's like, boy, anyone would want that offensive coordinator job, but then they're only going to be there a year because then they're going to be a head guy. If they're good,
talent, right?
Right. Like
if you're Mike McDaniel, do you take the Browns head coach job, or do you take OC for a year in Philadelphia?
That's what I thought that with the Lions with him. Like, I'd much rather be the OC in Detroit, let alone Philly, than be the head coach for the Browns or Arizona.
Yeah, we'll talk about coaching stuff because that cycle is spinning later on in the week. Let's get to the Chargers Patriots and make some picks for Monday Night Football. We still got one more wild card matchup to go. It is the Houston Texans at the Pittsburgh Steelers next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Wild card round. It's here. It's almost over. Going on to the division round. FanDuel officially in playoff mode. And if you haven't seen it yet, every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action, because right now, every NFL playoff game day, we've got one more today on Monday, and then we've got more next weekend, Saturday and Sunday. FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. Lean into those game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. And we've seen reasons to back all of that on Sunday. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Okay, here we go. By the way, NFC playoffs set for next week. It's going to be the 1 seeds playing on Sunday. So that means the Seattle Seahawks are going to host the 49ers, on Saturday. Seahawks are going to host the 49ers on Saturday, and it's going to be the Broncos that are hosting the Buffalo Bills on Saturday. And that means on Sunday, you've got the Bears hosting the Rams. And then we've got to be decided going to New England on Sunday, and it's going to be the Texans or it's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that is because the only game that was not highly contested and really fun in the fourth quarter on the entire wild card slate of games was the Patriots just handling the Chargers 16-3. And really, you could tell by that score. And it's why I picked the Patriots going into this game. The Chargers just couldn't protect Herbert, and it was just going to be game over in the playoffs. And unfortunate for the Charger season to end that way. But they just didn't have enough on offense despite the star quarterback.
Part of me gives the Chargers credit for keeping this thing close through 3 quarters, really, or at least a half, because boy, I mean, the O-line, and even getting this far with the state of that O-line, but then the dam just broke late. I mean, it almost became laughable / sad. I mean, rarely do I feel bad for an NFL player. I feel bad for Herbert today because people are going to be like, this guy can never win the big one. He's never won a playoff game. Like, they should never even be close to being an 11-6 team in the wild card without someone like him. And he didn't play well, and he didn't make many plays, but I don't think there were a lot of plays to be made there. And at the end, he's just getting hit by like 3 guys at once on every snap. You know, it's like, what is going on here? But good for Drake May and great for the Patriots, of course.
Got sacked 6 times. He had no running game either.
None.
Vidal was 2.8 yards per carry. In fact, Herbert was the leading rusher as well. 10 carries for 57 yards, running for his life, trying to make plays, trying to make things happen.
Looked like people getting open, you know.
So, like, kept it close. You're right. Through 3 quarters, it was a 1-score game.
Yeah.
Drake May didn't have his best game, but he didn't need to. You saw some big plays from Ramondre Stevenson in this game, and their 2-headed backfield.
He's had a really good year, by the way.
Yeah. It's not quite, what they have in Detroit with a 2-headed monster running back situation, but Stevenson, and then big plays sprinkled in from Travion Henderson, who I still think is going to be really awesome.
Really good.
And then obviously, MVP caliber stuff from Drake May, not necessarily in this game, but enough with the way the Chargers were as a defensive battle in this one, 16-3, the Patriots advanced. And you go back to work, and for the Chargers, they already have the guys. They just have to be healthy going into next year, right? It's not like, you got to go shopping for an offensive tackle. They got 2 good tackles.
Yeah, I mean, they added Becton to the mix, and like the O-line could have been one of the best in the league. It looked like, and the defense is quite solid. They could lose Minter, who did a really good job, I thought, here too, and looked like he confused May once in a while, but they just didn't have enough bullets. I mean, and I think Vrabel figured that out after a while, that if I just keep leaning on them, don't take too many risks, we're going to win this game.
Well, who do the New England Patriots not want to see? Because they are going to be hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are at home hosting the Texans to finish the wild card round. The Texans on the road are favored by 3 points. Do we want to take another home dog here in the Pittsburgh Steelers to end wild card weekend, Matt?
Well, I picked the game on many outlets, and I picked the Texans to win 17-16. So yes, I will take the points. I mean,
first of all, Matt, can we just rookie mistake on your part, not making different picks on every outlet so you can be right somewhere?
I have done that.
After the game.
I think I did that with Rams Panthers this week because 10.5 was too hard for me to pick. So I think I took the Rams with us and Panthers on the drive, my Steelers show. I have to throw this out there, and I think I mentioned it last time the Steelers hosted a Monday night game, but it still boggles my mind. They've won 23 in a row at home on Monday nights. I was a senior in high school, and Chuck Noll was the head coach the last time. I mean, Cowers never lost one. Tomlin's never lost one. Now, it's a playoff game, but there has to be something to that. That's insanity to me.
It's totally insanity. And there has to be something to it, but I don't believe much in whatever it is either.
Me either, right.
There. And also for the Texans, they probably feel weird about this. It's almost their Saturday wild card playoff games is almost as natural as like the Cowboys playing on Thanksgiving. And so them playing on Monday night might be a little weird for them, playing 2 days later than they usually play in the playoffs. But I just like
there's a bunch of weird streaks that are either something's going to get broken tonight, right? Yeah.
I don't like the Texans are favored by 3 on the road. I think smart money is probably to take the points here at home, home dog, and we've seen that really matter in a lot of these games. I just think the Texans are better. That defense is legit. I think we're going to see a 9-6 game next weekend with the Patriots and the Texans potentially. And the question, so I'm going to take the Texans and give up the points here. The question for me is, I'm just kind of looking at CJ Stroud. We know how good the Texans defense is. I was looking at some numbers this week going into the playoffs with playoff quarterbacks, and I was surprised how, because we've been, CJ Stroud showed up on the scene as a rookie, fully formed, and he was so good already, and then everything else gets blamed on the offensive line. Stroud has not been great in a clean pocket. So I don't know if he developed bad habits from being behind a bad line early in his career.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a coordinator thing because they've changed coordinators multiple times. There's plenty of weapons on offense. Stroud needs to be better when the picture's not muddy, right? And so that's one thing I'm looking for. And can they make that picture muddy on top of it? The Steelers at home, loud. The only player I'm watching in this game is CJ Stroud, because I think that is the key to all of it, because the Texans are going to handle things on defense, and Stroud just needs to go down and put a few points on the board. And if he doesn't, then I'm a little bit worried there, because it's not just offensive line for Stroud as often as we've talked about that for the Texans offense.
Yeah, I really don't know where the Steelers' offensive production is going to come from, because the things they do well, the Texans' D's, even their best strengths, like they rush the passer super well. All the short passes that Rodgers throws to Gainwell, they come up and tackle immediately. Their Metcalf's back, but their corners are really, really good, and they take the ball away. And
can you get one down the field to DK Metcalf? Does he come back with a chip on his shoulder and angry because the air yards is insane with this Steelers offense? And Rodgers, unlike late career Ben Roethlisberger, he can throw the ball still. So
that's not a problem.
Get him out on a rollout where he feels comfortable to hold on to the ball for a second, something, because you've got to make some plays down the field if you're the Steelers. You got to try, which is hard against that front, because
then you got to protect, and he's got to hang in there. And right. There's a ripple effect. Now, to me, the Steelers' only real path to victory is crushing the Texans' O-line and making this a rock fight, first 1 to 12 wins, something like that. Houston has some kind of crazy record where they're undefeated over a long stretch when they only get to 20 points. Like that's not that high of a bar to get over.
Right.
And they're going to have to turn Stroud over, which if he hasn't been great, he still hasn't turned the ball over a whole lot. I think you're going to see Porter on Nico a lot. Porter's had a great year. And maybe the Steelers defense can splash it up and they can block a kick or something in a Tomlin-like fashion. But I just think, to your point, Houston's better.
38.5 is the over-under, and if you're the Steelers, you probably want to keep that under.
You want that under. Yeah.
An ugly rock fight that lends to winning the bet with the points, right? But also potentially moving on as a home team, make things really difficult on that Texans offense. Yeah, a lot is on that Steelers defense in this game.
Yeah, and the defense is playing quite well, and I think the defense can do quite well, especially against that O-line, Cam Hayward and Watt and all those guys. But that's their only path to me.
All right, one more wild card weekend. Texans and the Steelers. We'll have it broken down tomorrow. I think we'll have to discuss some NFL coaching news that'll happen now that the weekend is over, and getting ready for the divisional round as well next week, and taking your questions. Hit us up at BD Peacock, at Williamson NFL in the YouTube comments. Check out the Everydayer Club. That is in the show notes. You can go to NFL6pack.supercast.com, and Matt and I back tomorrow right here, NFL 6-Pack.